Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. The General Hospital / Young and Restless crossover that you didn't see. Every once in a while, it dawns on our favorite soap stars that my conversations may not sound quite like other people's. They can discuss murder plots and alternate personalities with the same casualness that others do sports and the weather and think nothing of it. Case in point, a recent crossover of sorts. After taping Christina's Olympic-caliber nosedive from Ava's hotel room on General Hospital, Kate Mancy took Young and Restless Courtney Hope, Sally, to work out together. We were catching up, and she was like, "Oh, how's it going with the loss of the baby?" Mancy tells Soap Opera Digest. She was asking me, how did it happen? And I was like, oh, it was this whole thing. I fell out of a window, and then I fell into the pool. The women at this, peaceful Zen studio, she adds with a laugh, must have been like, who are these women? Hope was a perfect peer for Mancy to compare notes with. Courtney has been in a similar storyline, albeit without the falling from a window part. We were sort of commiserating about how you yearn for those kind of heavy, gritty storylines, and then, when you're in it, Mancy says, you're like, oh God, I can't wait to do something light. Then when you get to the other side, you're like, oh, I want to do something gritty, she concludes. I definitely acknowledge the absurdity there. The morning sun streamed through the windows of General Hospital, casting a golden glow on the bustling hub of Port Charles. Doctors, nurses, and patients moved in a carefully orchestrated dance, their lives interwoven with secrets, betrayals, and forbidden loves. But today, something unusual was brewing in the city, something that even the most seasoned residents could never have anticipated. Dr. Hamilton Finn, the brilliant and enigmatic infectious disease specialist, was in his office, flipping through a patient file. His concentration was interrupted by a knock on the door. "Come in," Finn called out, barely lifting his eyes from the pages. The door opened, revealing a tall, striking woman with an air of confidence that immediately caught Finn's attention. Her blonde hair was impeccably styled, and she wore a tailored suit that screamed power. Finn recognized her from the news. This was none other than Victoria Newman, the CEO of Newman Enterprises, a woman whose reputation preceded her. "Dr. Finn, I presume?" Victoria said, stepping into the room with a purposeful stride. Finn stood, intrigued by her unexpected visit. "Yes, that's me. And you're Victoria Newman, if I'm not mistaken. To what do I owe the pleasure?" Victoria's gaze was sharp, assessing. "I'm here on a matter of great importance, one that could affect both Port Charles and Genoa City. My father, Victor Newman, has recently been dealing with a health crisis. His condition is unusual, and after consulting with numerous specialists, your name came up as the best in the field." Finn frowned slightly, trying to piece together the puzzle. "I see. What exactly is Mr. Newman's condition?" Victoria hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "He's been experiencing symptoms that no one can seem to diagnose: extreme fatigue, periods of confusion, and a recurring fever that spikes unpredictably. His condition has been deteriorating rapidly, and I'm afraid time is running out." Finn's curiosity was piqued. "And you think I might be able to help?" "More than that," Victoria replied. "I'm counting on it. My father is a powerful man, but he's also one who has made many enemies. We suspect foul play, perhaps something that has gone undetected by other doctors. I've heard of your success with rare and undiagnosable cases. I need you to come to Genoa City." Finn leaned back in his chair, considering her proposal. "Genoa City, that's a long way from Port Charles." Victoria nodded. "I'm aware, but we can't afford to waste any more time. I'm prepared to compensate you generously, and all expenses will be covered. But more importantly, you'll be saving a life, and potentially uncovering something far bigger than just a medical mystery." Finn studied her for a moment before standing up. "All right. I'll need to clear my schedule here, but I can be in Genoa City by tomorrow morning." Victoria allowed a rare smile. "Thank you, Dr. Finn. You won't regret this." As Victoria left his office, Finn couldn't shake the feeling that he was about to step into something much larger than he'd anticipated. Little did he know, this would be the beginning of a series of events that would intertwine the lives of Port Charles and Genoa City in ways neither city could have foreseen. Chapter 2. A Newman in Port Charles. While Finn prepared for his journey to Genoa City, another drama was unfolding back in Port Charles. Carly Corinthos, the fierce and formidable owner of the Metro Court, was in the middle of dealing with her own crisis. Her daughter, Jocelyn Jacks, had been involved in a recent scandal, and Carly was doing everything in her power to protect her. But Carly's attention was diverted when an unexpected visitor arrived at the Metro Court. Phyllis Summers, a longtime friend of Carly's and the equally tenacious owner of the Grand Phoenix Hotel in Genoa City, had flown in under the radar, desperate for Carly's help. Phyllis. Carly greeted her with surprise when she saw her old friend standing in the lobby. "What are you doing here?" Phyllis flashed a quick smile, though her eyes betrayed the worry she carried. "Carly, I need your help. It's about Victor." Carly led Phyllis to a private corner of the hotel's restaurant, where they could talk without being overheard. "What's going on?" "Last I heard, Victor was still the king of Genoa City." Phyllis sighed, running a hand through her red hair. "He is, but something's wrong. Victoria reached out to a doctor here, someone named Finn. She thinks Victor's been poisoned, but she doesn't know who did it or why." Phyllis shook her head. "That's the problem. It could be anyone. Victor has made so many enemies over the years, people who would love to see him fall. But there's something else, something Victoria doesn't know. I've been doing some digging, and I found a connection between Victor's condition and a certain criminal organization based right here in Port Charles." Carly's eyes narrowed. "The Corinthos organization?" Phyllis nodded grimly. "I don't have all the details yet, but there's a trail that leads straight to Sonny Corinthos. If Victor's been poisoned, Sonny might know something about it. And if that's the case, I need to get to the bottom of it before Victoria does something drastic." Carly's protective instincts went into overdrive. "If Sonny's involved, I'll find out. But Phyllis, if Victor Newman is in danger, you need to be careful. People who cross Sonny don't always come out the other side." Phyllis smirked, her confidence returning. "Oh, I'm not afraid of Sonny. I've dealt with his type before. But I do need your help, Carly. You know this town better than anyone. Help me find out what's really going on." Carly hesitated for a moment, weighing her options. She had her own problems to deal with, but this was bigger than just one man's health. It was about power, control, and the kind of game that Carly knew all too well. "Okay," Carly finally said. "I'll help you. But we do this my way." Phyllis grinned, relief washing over her. "I wouldn't have it any other way." Chapter 3. Shadows in Genoa City. Dr. Finn arrived in Genoa City the next day, greeted by the imposing facade of the Newman Tower. As he was escorted through the opulent building, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was entering a world where power and wealth ruled everything, and where secrets were buried deep. Victoria met him in the private penthouse that served as Victor's personal office and sanctuary. The room was filled with expensive art, rare books, and the faint scent of cigars, Victor's signature mark. "Thank you for coming, Dr. Finn," Victoria said as she led him into the room where Victor lay resting, his once formidable presence now diminished by illness. Victor Newman, the titan of industry, looked up as Finn approached. His eyes, though tired, still held the sharpness of a man who had built an empire through sheer willpower. "So, you're the doctor my daughter insists will save my life?" Victor said, his voice gravelly but still commanding. Finn nodded, assessing the man before him. "I'll do everything I can, Mr. Newman, but first, I need to understand what's been happening to you." Victor gave a slight nod, motioning for Finn to sit. "It started a few months ago. At first, I thought it was just stress. Running an empire isn't easy. But then the symptoms got worse. The doctors I've seen so far have been useless, and I don't have time to waste with incompetence." Finn took out his notepad, jotting down details as Victor spoke. "You mentioned a fever and fatigue. Have you experienced any other unusual symptoms? Nausea, dizziness, changes in appetite?" Victor grimaced. "All of the above. But there's something else. I've been having strange dreams. Nightmares, really. They're so vivid, so real, that I wake up disoriented, not sure if I'm still dreaming." Finn frowned. "Nightmares can be a symptom of many things, including neurological issues. Have you had any imaging done, MRIs, CT scans?" "Of course," Victoria interjected. "We've done everything, but the results always come back inconclusive." Finn considered this for a moment. It's possible that whatever is affecting you is something rare or something that hasn't been seen before. I'll need to run some tests myself, and I'd like to review your previous medical records. Victor nodded. Do whatever you need to do, doctor, but I want answers, and soon. As Finn began his examination, he couldn't help but notice the tension in the room, the unspoken fear that lingered in the air. This was more than just a medical case, it was a battle for control, a fight against an unseen enemy that threatened to bring down a man who had always been untouchable.